here on Theoretically Speaking. Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN Insider, and our friend on the show, Mike T. How's the week been going so far for you?
Doing great, my man. Theo, how are you?
I am doing well. A quick update for you. I know I give you grill updates here and there on my Traeger. When I last tried some smoked chicken, it was fire, and I am going to soon elevate to the brisket. But first, I'm going to give a retry on those ribs. I got some tips from my pops on my wife's side, and I think I have the tools now to start doing some good ribs. So everything's good on that end for me.
I thought you were going to do a little broadcasting and barbecuing. I thought we were going to go B&B.
I know
that's where we're going.
That's still on the way. That's still in the works. But first, I have to get my recipes down. I can't, I can't put out bad product. Then people won't keep coming back. So Mike T, speaking of coming back, it sounds like Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want to come back to the 49ers. I know they're supposed to report to camp in about a week. He officially requested a trade. It does feel like one of these stalemates. He couldn't get the contract with the Niners, but now he's trying to test his market out openly. If you're John Lynch in the 49ers, what would it take for somebody to offer you to actually give up Aiyuk ahead of a season where you likely can be a Super Bowl contender if everything rolls right in the NFC?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think he's a really good player, and I think they've done a great job of drafting Ricky Pearsall in the first round, Jacob Cowing in the fourth round. Obviously, they got Deebo Samuel, so I think they're well positioned for the future. And I would say to Aiyuk, look, we have a chance to win it all. You're a big part of what we're doing. We've extended a lot of other guys, and we need you to be patient, but you're going to be here for, at least this season.
Right, and you say you like Aiyuk. I think he's one of the more underrated wide receivers in the NFL. I'm just going to go based on APY here. Based on highest APY, I'm going to name a receiver, and you stop me when you think Aiyuk should be slotted above this guy. So number one right now in the NFL is Justin Jefferson, $35 million a year.
How many shoes on?
Okay, number two would be A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's at $32 million a year. Would you take Aiyuk over a guy like A.J. Brown?
I would take Aiyuk because I think what he can do is score touchdowns, and he's more valuable. So, look, I love A.J. Brown and his physicality, but I would rather have Brandon Aiyuk. And I think someone will pay him if it's not the 49ers. So, to me, I could see why he wants to get paid. But, again, I would just ask him to wait one more year.
Right, one of the elite separators, Aiyuk, and if he does wait one more year, he'll be scheduled to make just $14 million this year outside of what he could make on the open market, $30+ per year. Mike Tannenbaum joining us here on Theoretically Speaking, talking about receivers on the market, and I'd love to ask you this. Your former team, the New York Jets, there's a lot of rumors about Devontae Adams going from the Raiders to reunite with Aaron Rodgers. Is there any fire to all of the smoke that we're seeing around that?
No, I think what I could see happening is the Raiders being very aggressive to get a quarterback at some point, but I just don't think, given all that they gave up for Devontae Adams just a couple of years ago, Theo, that they would go ahead and do that. So I think there's a lot of smoke this time of year, but I'd be surprised if that actually happened.
Right. I kind of credit that to the time of year we're in where there's not a lot of headlines. People are drumming up things off of things they hear on podcasts, and sometimes we get a little too far over our skis there. Mike Tannenbaum joining us here on a Thursday on Theoretically Speaking, talking some ball. Also, you've probably been watching. We both talked about our shared love for what HBO Hard Knocks is doing with the offseason edition with the New York Giants. Are you caught up on that? Have you watched through the 3 episodes there?
Yes, sir.
So I've seen a lot of people criticizing Joe Shane, and I really don't understand it. I don't get it. He seemed like he has been doing very well, very competent. I actually have grown an appreciation for what the Giants and their front office is doing. You watching that from the outside in, how real is all of that? And also, how well do you think Joe Shane has been handling, or did handle, because we're watching it in retrospect, handling what the Giants had to do this offseason?
Yeah, for those people that want to work in the front office, I think NFL Films has done a very good job of capturing those first 48 hours of free agency and how chaotic it is. I thought it was really well produced. Look, I think Joe Shane's been in a really difficult position, and I think the missteps or mistakes were things that happened when the cameras weren't there, or certainly in Saquon's case, maybe a year earlier. But those are very, very difficult conversations to have. And nobody typically would want to have those, so as publicly as they've been.
Right. I mean, did you ever have a situation with your owner at the Jets where it's a player he really wanted to keep, but it would have been better for the future of that franchise to get rid of them or not pay them the money that they wanted?
Oh, it's gut-wrenching. It happens all the time. I mean, in a salary cap system, you just can't pay everybody. So it's really, really hard. I think the mistake, and I've said this repeatedly, was not where they are now, but how they should have signed Saquon Barkley earlier and then, go year by year on Daniel Jones. So to me, that was the mistake, and how it's played out so publicly, obviously is not ideal for their franchise because you have a great player and a great teammate like Saquon.
Right. And I'll leave off on this one because this headline intrigued me here. The Houston Texans are the darling of everybody's early AFC picks. They're the darling of the NFL right now, mainly because of their quarterback, C.J. Stroud. He nicknamed his skill position players in 11 personnel the five-headed monster, looking at Dalton Schultz at tight end, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and then in the backfield, Joe Mixon. That's a really good supporting cast for C.J. Stroud. Is there any other one in the NFL you would take over what the Texans have surrounded C.J. Stroud with, considering like the Bears, the 49ers, of course, if they keep Aiyuk, and I even have the Eagles up there now that they've added Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, I think if Xavier Worthy turns out to be, the player that he certainly can be, that's another one, just because it's always going to be Kansas City. But look, they have a tremendous group of skill players, and they're certainly in the conversation for one of the most dangerous teams this season.
Gotta love that. Looking forward to what the Texans bring, and also looking forward to those C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love debates, which I'm sure are going to heat up as we get through the season there. Is there any new development on your love trail for Jordan Love?
No, he's still right there until proven otherwise. I'll take young, high character, dependable, productive, and healthy. So that's what's important to me. So nothing new on that front.
Gotta love it. Rocking with it. Mike T, appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and your weekend, Doc.
All right. Thanks so much. Look again, the barbecue update next week to you. Come
on with it. I'm going to get them ribs right. Appreciate you, Mike. That's Mike Tannenbaum joining us here on Theoretically Speaking. Always brought to you by Eisner Amper. And for Mike right there, I do feel like for Joe Schoen, he's been catching a lot of flack on Twitter based on the way he's been handling a lot of these things. But it's fair to at least say this. You go out and you bring in Brian Burns. You cut ties with a guy like Saquon Barkley, who has been the face of your team for the past couple of years, and it's hard to do. It's hard to get the fan base adjusted to that. Outside of those two moves right there, which were big, hefty pulls, it doesn't feel like there's much he could do in that situation. Like, they got themselves into the Daniel Jones contract situation. They're likely getting out of it next year, and I am intrigued to see where the Giants go with it. Either way, I do think that he's getting an uneven amount of hate right now on Twitter. Like, have you been watching this stuff with the Giants so far?
I haven't watched much of it, but I've seen more of the reaction to it. I haven't seen as much hate. I see Giants fans loving their new boss, Shane. Loving that it's all about business and that the soft aspect of, well, Saquon's so popular, the fans love him. No. It doesn't make business sense. It doesn't convert to wins, so we're not going to sign him. I saw fans of the Giants loving that.
Wow. We must be on two different – I've seen so many people attacking his ability to have these conversations. Somebody's talking about how he couldn't make eye contact with people in the room when he's low confidence or something. And
Join the party, pal. That's me.
Absolutely. That's another thing, too. There's other reasons why sometimes people don't make a lot of eye contact. But, yeah, I like what Joe Schoen's doing. I love the Hard Knocks series, and I can't wait for this to keep on happening every single summer. I've never been a big Hard Knocks guy until literally this offseason. We have Tina pulling up for a Thirsty Thursday on the other side. We're talking about – this is a good one. The scam calls that almost got you. I almost actually got hooked the other day on one, and I'll reveal that to you all. Plus, CCAT, I do have an update for you. You asked me a few weeks back about my cereal style, how I get down in the morning with the breakfast cereal, and I do have an update for you on that. I have evolved as a person. I found a new strategy that works perfectly in my household, and I do feel like I'm right. So I'll give you that as well. But before we get to the break, I do have to tell you about Palm Beach County's premier college football event, It's back, baby. You ain't got to keep waiting too much longer. December 18th. You don't want to miss the 2024 Boca Raton Bowl from FAU Stadium on a Wednesday night. You know it's going to be broadcast live on ESPN. Now, last year's game, we saw in-state rising power USF take out Syracuse of the ACC. By the way, ACC football, I'll be out there next week for their ACC kickoff, the ACC Media Days, if you will. What will this year's game have in store? Big names, big teams, most likely big action. The 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, December 18th from FAU Stadium on ESPN. Don't miss out, and to find out more, go to BocaRatonBowl.com. Ain't no party like a Tina on a Thursday party, because a Tina on a Thursday party don't stop, well, until we run into Freddie and Harry. That's C-Cat. I'm Theo Dorsey. It's ESPN's 106.3's Theoretically Speaking.